Okay, so I'm back. So this is now clip number 2 in my series on inflation, pages 45 to 47 of your textbook. So agenda item number 1, which is terms. So the first term is price level. So what's the official definition of price level? It is basically defined as the average, okay, so statistical average level of all prices in the economy. Okay, and economists, not known for their creativity, have defined the price level by the variable, the letter P. Okay, so price level is P. So that's what that means. It's basically the average level across the board. So it's not just, you know, the price of one particular good went up. Okay, or a handful of goods. It's sort of almost all goods in the society or in the country are all tracking in the general direction, and that usually is up. It can occasionally be down, but usually it's up. Okay. Now, to capture that idea, we have what's called inflation. And so the inflation just means that prices are generally rising in an economy. Okay? And so to quantify that, we have what's called a rate of inflation, which is just basically a percentage growth in prices. It's basically measured as the change in prices divided by the initial prices. Yes, so the basically the formula for which I'll show you later in part 2, it's just the change in prices divided by the initial price level, or growth rate in prices. It's basically what an inflation rate is, and it's measured in terms of a percentage. Okay? Now, to operationalize this, in other words, to make it sort of, okay, let's move this out of the world of theory and into the world of practice, we have to measure this price level. We have to somehow compute an average price level. And this is done by creating a price index, of which the most popular, well-known, is called the Consumer Price Index, which is defined as the average, basically how it's done is it averages the prices of various commodities according to how important they are. What that basically means is from time to time we have to figure out the behavior of the average household, the average consumer, and what bundle of goods do they purchase. And that, of course, can change over time, right? I mean, obviously, if you had a consumer price index, let's say 30 or 40 years ago, it might be different from the price index you have today, right? Like, for instance, we today would buy things like computers. I mean, that's sort of a general thing that's in everyone's price basket, pretty much. In Canada, I know people buy computers and printers and ink for their printers and stuff like this, and maybe different accessories for their computers, like my webcam or stuff like this. But of course, 40 years ago, nobody had computers in the households, and this wasn't a normal household product. So obviously, the basket of goods will change over time. And so that is what's going on. So obviously there is, of course, the issue of the fact that what exactly is an average household. It is a bit of a measurement issue you don't have to worry about, but just be on guard that the Consumer Price Index is based on this sort of assumed average household. So it's possible that your household might be average. It's also possible that your household might be very unaverage, an unusual family. So that affects how usable is the CPI for you as a family or a household, right? Okay, right. So that's basically that. So we've covered the idea of price level and inflation. Now let's talk about purchasing power of money, the real value of money. Okay, there are, and from time to time in other videos I bring this up, a distinction between nominal versus real measures. Okay, nominal is just what the piece of paper says, right? So if I gave you a $20 bill and it has a big number 20 written on it, that's its nominal value. Okay, what the real number, this what they call the purchasing power of money, the real value of money, means is how much stuff in terms of goods and services does that $20 bill buy. Right, so for instance, maybe in 1 year the $20 bill, let's say, might buy you let's say a pizza, and then let's say next year, because we have rising prices, now it takes $40 to buy a pizza, or that $20 only now buys half a pizza as opposed to a full pizza. So it's not buying as much stuff. So its real value has been cut in half in this example. Okay, so basically that's all you have to do is when you hear real, okay, and you can have a whole bunch of different real terms like real money supply and you know, like different terms are real variables. Is they're talking about in terms of actual physical goods and services, okay, the real economy, so to speak, as opposed to just pieces of paper with numbers printed on them, because that's the nominal. Okay, you know, like another example would be real income versus nominal income. Right, nominal income says you make $1 million a year. Right, but does that mean you're rich or poor? Well, if $1 million buys, let's say, you know, 14 different houses, then yeah, you're rich. If $1 million only buys a loaf of bread, then you're poor. Okay, so that's why we worry about this real versus nominal distinctions. How much stuff can you actually physically buy? Okay, so that covers nominal versus real. I'm going to stop here and make clip number 3. We're going to talk about hyperinflation, define that term, which is important for my discussion about Germany, the history of Germany and that Weimar Republic situation, which basically destroyed the entire currency, the German mark, and this term debt monetization. And then I'll go on to the numerical example.